Speaker. To ask Dr. the Honourable Minister of Health and Quality of Life whether, in regard to the prenatal and neonatal care services in public hospitals, he will state, A, if the parents of baby Beekareea have submitted a written complaint to his ministry following the death of their baby born on 13th April 2018 at the Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital, and if so, indicate if an inquiry has been initiated thereinto, indicating where matters stand, including if disciplinary action has been taken, and B, in view of reports of recent incidents having occurred, consideration will be given for a review of the said services.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that my ministry has a well-established protocol to investigate into all complaints of alleged medical negligence. After receiving a complaint, a preliminary inquiry is carried out at the level of the hospital by the Regional Health Director, and the report is submitted to the Ministry for an appropriate action by the Ministry. After analysing the preliminary report, my ministry set up an independent inquiry committee at the level of the Ministry to look into all cases of reported alleged medical negligence. Following the in-depth independent inquiry, and depending on the recommendation of the report, the Ministry refers the case to the Medical Council and a delegation of power by the PSC for another inquiry, with appropriate recommendation under Regulation 46 of PSC Regulation for further investigation. In case the Medical Council concludes that there is evidence of medical negligence, the case is referred either to the Ministry for Disciplinary Action or to the Medical Disciplinary Tribunal. The Medical Disciplinary Tribunal will look into the charges of medical negligence leveled by the Medical Council. In case the charges of medical negligence are proved by the Medical Disciplinary Tribunal, the Medical Council refers the case to the PSC for appropriate action. As regard to Part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that on the 19th of April 2018, Mr. Tariq Hussein Beekareea has requested explanation from the Regional Health Director of Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital as to why a caesarean section was not carried out on his wife, Mrs. Husnoo Beekareea, instead of a normal delivery on the 12th of April 2018. The Regional Health Director carried out a preliminary inquiry on the 27th of April 2018 and submitted a report to the Ministry which clearly indicated that, firstly, during admission in the ward and at the time of labour, which was from the 12th to the 13th of April 2018, there was no prior indication for caesarean section. During labour, at 0040 hours, on the 13th of April 2018, when the cervix was fully dilated, there was no evidence of fetal distress until spontaneous rupture of membrane, which then showed meconium-like core with normal fetal heartbeat, that is 130 beats per minute. Vaginal delivery was expedited as appropriate in such a case, and the medical team of the neonatal intensive care unit was at hand in the labor room to take care of the newborn. At the delivery of the baby, the presence of a tight loop of umbilical cord was found around the neck, which was released immediately to help delivery. It is to be noted that this condition cannot be known beforehand. At 01:15 hours, the baby was delivered and did not cry at birth, and was handed over to the doctor at the neonatal intensive care unit of GNH, that is Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital. The baby received all appropriate care by the trained neonatal intensive care unit, medical and nursing. Treatment continued in the neonatal intensive care unit, but the baby's condition remained poor, and unfortunately the baby collapsed the next day, that is on the 13th of April. Resuscitation was carried out, and despite all resuscitative measures, the baby was declared dead. Despite all the appropriate measures that have been taken, my ministry has already initiated an in-depth independent inquiry which will start soon. As regards to part B of the question, I wish to inform the House that immediately upon assuming the function as a Minister of Health and Quality of Life, I proceeded to the opening of a neonatal intensive care unit at Flack Hospital, that is in 2017. Just, I think, 1 month after taking over as a Minister of Health. There were 4 ventilators with facilities for mothers to stay with their babies. And neonatal intensive care will be opened soon at Dr. Jitu Hospital. Infrastructure is ready, tender for equipment has been launched, and training for medical and paramedical staff has already been conducted. A tertiary neonatal intensive care, that is level 4, will be opened at Victoria Hospital soon. The infrastructural design is in process. As far as beds are concerned, neonatal intensive care units, we have 20 beds, 20 ventilators so far, and we are working to increase the number of neonatal care units in the near future.
May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he is aware that Mr. Tariq Beekareea also went to the police to complain of suspected medical negligence? He doesn't mention that in his reply.
Yes, he went to the police as well. And as I mentioned, we have done initial inquiry, we are doing an in-depth inquiry, and we'll take it up.
So we have a letter of complaint on 19th of April. Does the Minister find it normal that 3 months after, we are in July now, Mr. Beekareea nor his wife, Mrs. Husnoo Beekareea, have not received any single communication from the Ministry to yourself, which you copied the letter, or from Rosebery Hospital, except for an acknowledgement of his letter? Do you find normal that 3 months after, Mr. Beekareea and his wife are still nowhere and nobody has contacted them?
I know it's a very difficult case. But before I meet the parent, I have to be sure what I'm going to tell the parent. I have to know what I'm going to tell the parent, because that one thing they're going to ask me, is there medical negligence? Why have I not done this? Why have I not done that? I've done a preliminary inquiry. And the other inquiry has already been set up. It's going to be started anytime.
3 months after no inquiry has started, Mr. Beekareea is a waiter, Madam Speaker, working in a restaurant. He's a Chijimun. Why has his case been treated differently to one Ms. Krush, who had a fact-finding inquiry 1 week after, or even the case of Mr. Mega, who 2 weeks after the death of his wife, an inquiry started? Why, in the case of Mr. Tariq and Mr. Husnoo Beekareea, 3 months after, no one has contacted them at all, except for a letter of acknowledgement from Dr. Goudia?
But I've explained to you. I want to know what's the cause of death, what has contributed to it. That's why. And now, a preliminary inquiry has been done. It's not a question of no inquiry has been done. And the second inquiry, and in-depth, is going to be done. And why the second one is late, I'm going to explain to you, because on the second one, there's Dr. Nau, who is a regional health director of Civil Hospital, Dr. Ting, who is a consultant in charge at Victoria Hospital, Obs and Gynae, and you have Mrs. Puran, who is a consultant pediatrician, and an AS from the ministry. Now, the problem is that Dr. Ting, why is this second inquiry, the in-depth is late? Because Dr. Ting is involved in another fact-finding committee. That's why the second inquiry is a bit late. But the first one has been done. And the second one is going to start anytime.
Does the Honourable Minister find it normal that in the preliminary inquiry, 3 months has gone by, no one has sought to get the views of the mother or the father in this case? No one has asked them. 3 months has gone by. A preliminary report has been sent to you without even the regional health director or any single doctor or even the police recontacting the parents of the child.
But if I contact the parent, what am I going to tell them? Well, because the main questions you're going to ask me. Now, please. No, I'm going to keep my cool, but they keep their cool as well. Okay. The first question a parent would ask you, has there been negligence? That's the first question. And what I'm going to say, I need to have the facts to tell them I've done a preliminary inquiry. It shows there is no evidence of negligence. But I'm not happy with that. I'm going for a second one as well. But please.
The lady says she was suffering from diabetes. If she was suffering from diabetes, that is the case, then automatically the pregnancy becomes high risk and the gynecologist should have been there. This is one of the questions that could have been asked of the lady had someone taken the care. And to speak to the lady, madam.
The lady suffers from what we call an abnormal oral GTT. But the lady was not on any treatment for diabetes, not on any insulin, nothing. She was just on being treated by diet. And her follow-up was all right all along the way. And even till the last minute, she was admitted. The baby fetal heart was normal. There was no problem at all.
Speaker, the lady was brought 4 days earlier in the hospital. For some reason, she was in fantastic health. She wouldn't have been brought 4 days before in the hospital, and I understand it is from diabetes. This is why you should have someone who have spoken to her to see what treatment she actually got in the hospital. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister whether an autopsy was done on the child. It is normal practice overseas when you have a neonatal death of this kind that permission is sought from the parents for an autopsy to be made.
Sorry. These kind of cases, we know the condition of the baby at birth. We know the condition of the baby. We know the baby had the cord around the neck. We know the condition when the baby was born. Yeah. We know the ABGAR. We know we have measure, we have different modality to measure, to assess the baby's condition at birth. When the baby was born, there was no heart rate, no respiration rate. Baby was completely cyanosed, and baby was limp at birth. No heart rate, no respiration. So we know the condition of the baby at birth. And what we call the ABGAR score was 0 out of 10 at 1 minute. At 5 minutes, it was 1 out of 10. At 10 minutes, it was 3 out of 10. So in a case like that, where you know there was meconium, the baby passed meconium, when baby is in distress, they pass meconium, they inhale that, they get burst asphyxia. And that's why. Why do we want to do a postmortem in a case like that?
I'm going to circulate a document, guideline, by the Royal College of Gynecologists. Royal College of Gynecologists. It says here, Madam Speaker, parents should be offered full postmortem to help explain the cause of death. This is from the Royal College. Now, maybe you know better. I'm not a doctor, but maybe you know better. But I think the Royal College of Surgeons know it even better than you. So, Madam Speaker, I would say that it is a fault, and the Minister should admit it and change his procedures, that in these cases, there should be an autopsy. Firstly, Madam Speaker, and I also said because I took the trouble to read this. It's a long document. Also says, Madam Speaker, that parents who suffer this loss, often, especially the mother, not a political issue, especially the mother, they go through severe depression. Severe depression. Here, we have a letter not answered for 3 months. Not one single psychologist offered to this. Sorry.
Make a statement. Be brief, and you should allow time also.
Get emotional about it.
So,
Madam Speaker, why was there no psychological counseling offered to this lady where it is well documented that severe depression is common in these cases?
I would like to beg to differ with the Leader of the Opposition. You don't have to do a post-mortem when you know the cause of death. If I did not know the cause of death, I would have been the first person to ask for a post-mortem. I usually ask when I'm unsure, when I'm not happy with the cause of death. But when we know the cause of death, I'm sorry, It's not because the Royal College of Surgeons of Obstetricians told me I have to do it. No, I don't agree with you. I don't, because I've been treating babies as well for 20 years. I know what I'm talking about. You don't need a postmortem in a case like that.
Madam Speaker, he's a doctor, but I stand to what the Royal College of Obstetricians says, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the presence of meconium, which is excrement, I think, in fluids. The baby was obviously distressed. Why wasn't the gynecologist called at that time? When the RMO found the meconium in the fluids, why didn't he call for a gynecologist to perform a cesarean section?
The gynecologist was conducted, and now at this time, the mother was fully dilated, the cervix was fully dilated, and you want to get the baby out as soon as we can. So, there was meconium, the fetal heart rate was okay at that particular time, and that's why the gynecologist, they contacted us, they discussed about the future management in that particular case.
There was no gynecologist present, Madam Speaker, we agree
but
on that.
She was getting the care that needed. Okay.
Now, I wouldn't be so quick to defend everyone before you wait for the full preliminary. You should be careful not to defend them, because there are other things that will come out. I'm sure of that. So you should be careful not to be juge a party. Madam Speaker, when the baby was born, this poor baby girl was born. She was born with difficulty breathing. We agree on that. Then the RMO, I understand, called the pediatrician, Mr. Sankar, Dr. Sankar, I'll give his name. This Dr. Sankar apparently refused to come to the hospital. He didn't come to the hospital. He gave on the phone the medicine to be given or whatever, and the baby died 1 hour later. Is the Dr. Sankar, was he on call or not? And in a case of like this, where the child is not breathing well, shouldn't he have come out of his bed and come to the hospital?
I've got the report of the treatment given to the baby.
Please.
I've got the report of all the medication given to the baby. The baby, as soon as the baby was born, there was meconium, but not in all cases. It's like that. As soon as the baby was born, the baby was taken over by the pediatrician, by the doctors, yeah? By the doctor who is trained in neonatal care. By the doctors, because you have a lot of RMOs who are trained in neonatal care. He took over the baby. As I tell you, the condition of the baby was bad. She puts the baby on the ventilator. She gives the baby all the treatment required. I've got the report here. So to say that baby did not get the care required, I don't think it's right. I'm not going to defend anybody. I'm not here to defend anybody. Because if I was going to defend, I was not going to have any inquiry done. I've had one preliminary inquiry. I'm going to do a second one. So I'm not defending anybody, but I'm giving the facts as it is.
Nobody has heard the parents yet. Madam Speaker, this doctor, was he on call or was he not on call? What does on call mean? When you call him, he comes. This is, the baby died 1 hour later, whatever you gave as medicine, the baby died 1 hour later, and the doctor on call remained in his bed. That, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, that doctor should be suspended, should not be allowed to continue practicing.
As I told you, the inquiry is still on. The inquiry is still on, but I reassure you that baby has got all the treatment that was required. That I can assure you. But, as I mentioned, the inquiry is still on.
Well, I wonder what sort of inquiry, now that the Minister has said every care was given. What is the point of the inquiry? Madam Speaker, I'm going to come to the inquiry in the final question. One of few things. I'm sure the Honourable Minister is well aware that in 2017 has been a bad year for babies in Mauritius. Has been a bad year. Stillbirths have increased. From 2015 to 2017, we have 10 more children, 125 to 135 deaths. Also, Madam Speaker, infant deaths have increased from 2016 to 2017 by another large figure, by 10 also, Madam Speaker. So what is the reason why, after so many years of falling, even under this government, as soon as you take over, it starts increasing again? Have you changed something, or is it just fortuitous?
I'll give you the figures. I'll give you the figures. Early neonatal death, In 2012, 82. In 13, 67. In 2014, 64. In 2015, 66. 2016, 56. 2017, 42. Early neonatal death. You want the perinatal death? It has decreased as well. If I can give you the figures. So, I mean, you have to see the trend. In mortality, you don't say for 1 year to 1 year. You should know it better than I do. You see the trend. The trend is downward. Please.
I will table, Madam Speaker, a copy of the letter.
Is that your final question? No.
No, not yet. No, we have still
Yes,
time.
please. No, I know, but
okay.
let me
He
know.
was quite fast in his reply. Madam Speaker, the figures are there. Figures are there. Number of infant deaths in 2016, 154. In 2017, 164. Number of stillbirths registered, 2016, 127. 2017, 135. I don't know about prenatal. Pas de moi le poisson. These are the basic figures, and these are the total figures, and these are from your own publication. So I don't think that can be put into doubt, Madam Speaker. What now I'd like to speak to us, Honourable Minister, about following the death of baby Krush. We know that got a lot of publicity. There was a fact-finding committee, and baby Krush died having, from that the papers say, got the wrong injection, medical negligence. Have you, since that time, some months ago, have changed anything regards to the procedures for neonatal care after the death, tragic death of baby Krush?
Yeah, we have had an inquiry. We had a working group on that, and we had looked in what way the baby got the wrong injection. We have looked at the pharmacy, what the medication was given. We have looked at the ward, in what way, how comes a mistake was made, and the baby got the wrong injection. We have looked at all these, and measures has been taken to prevent this happening. Have looked at the whole process. We have looked at the process, and we have put it in application as well.
What measures did you take?
We have to set up the process to look from the pharmacy. How comes the medicine was, prescribed from the pharmacy? When it reaches the ward, what happened, where is it kept, in what condition it's kept, and before the nurse gives the medicine, did she check that particular medicine, or was the vial the same? All this had been checked, and remedial action has been taken as well.
Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister now concerning the complaints procedure. Now, we know that, for instance, in the UK, each hospital has a complaints manager, and he's there to handle complaints. Here, we have seen how the letter has been dans la nature for the last 3 months, no feedback at all given to the parent. Is he going to review the complaints procedure, especially for the Chijimun? We don't want Chijimun bashing.
No,
we don't want that. We want, especially for the Chijimun, Madam Speaker. We had the case of Eleonor, who was received in the corridor, although his child had died in Madagascar. Now we have this case of the waiter and the waiter's wife, waiting 3 months with no reply from the minister, although he was copied.
Yes.
What are you going to do to change the complaints procedure, and as I would suggest, have a complaints officer in each hospital and one at your ministry to handle complaints, which are numerous complaints. I have so many complaints on the hospital system.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition says that he's not going to play politics. But this is playing politics. This is playing politics, playing cheap politics, lo malaya jimun. Playing cheap politics, lo malaya jimun. No, no, comment service, tu pas causé pour des hier, toi. Comment service.
Order. Order. Reply to the question.
Let me.
You haven't finished?
Let me finish.
He has to reply to your question.
No. Because we have everybody who has any problem, they contact the RSD at the hospital. And from there, we do the inquiry. If needs be, we at the level of the ministry, then we do the inquiry as well. To say Mauritius is good like that. Everything that happens, it's easy to go in the paper because somebody is going to exploit it politically. It's going to go in the paper. It's like that. Don't say no. It's a fact. We live it every day. You know what? Shame on you.
No.
Shame on you to play politics.
Honorable Minister, please, you
No.
address the chair.
Yeah, but
You don't have
Oui.
to distract. Honorable
reste tranquille to play
Minister,
politics.
please, you address the chair. Don't address the leader of the opposition. Even if he's trying to distract you, you reply to the chair, please.
Yes, madam. So some people is trying to play politics here and tell him and initiating all sorts. That's why, because we have a way, because we have a way, we answer the people, the parents, they go to RSD, and then we follow it from the RSD. Thank you.
The system is so good, Madam Speaker, that this poor waiter had to come to see the leader of the opposition. He got no reply from anyone, and nobody received him at all. Madam Speaker, also I understand from the UK that results of the fact-finding committee inquiries are given to parents of the deceased and the patient, etc., still living. Why don't you do that in Mauritius? Why don't you give the results of your inquiries, your committees and your fact-finding committees, give it to the persons concerned? Why is it hidden in Mauritius?
Mr. Speaker, it's not hidden. I've said we have done a preliminary inquiry. I'm going to do a second inquiry. I've said I've already got the people who are going to sit on that inquiry, but unfortunately Dr. Ting was busy with another inquiry. He could not start that particular inquiry. But having said that, you remember in the case of the baby who had the penicillin, once I got the result of the fact-finding committee, I called the parent in my office. So I'm not hiding anything. I set up the fact-finding committee when the baby passed away. I called them. They came to my office. I explained to them. I tell them about all the facts as it is. I'm not going to hide. I'm not hiding behind anything. I let the people as a fact, but I must get the fact properly, not insinuation. Not insinuation. I don't go approximately. I want to get the facts and then I inform the patient. Because it's very easy in Mauritius to exploit la situation politiquement.
Speaker, the minister can't hide anyway. This is Parliament. He will have to answer.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you.
So I'm asking the Honourable Minister. The only positive result that came out when was the fact-finding committee was in fact headed and was manned, if that's the right word, by people outside of the service, as the case on the fact-finding committee on Krush, which was headed by someone from the State Law Office. I'd like to ask him for fairness in this case, whether he will not give also the same sort of justice to the Beekareea family and order a full fact-finding committee like the one on baby Krush, because it is the same case, in my view, of negligence.
Madam Speaker, as I've explained to you, I've done a primary investigation. I'm doing a secondary investigation. If there needs be, I'm going to do it. But that depends on what I find. I mean, because we can't just, for any case, we go for a fact-finding committee. But, exactly, so many deaths. Exactly, so many deaths that happened in the last 10 years. How many cases did you do fact-finding committee in the last 10 years? You did not do fact-finding committees. So, if the case needs be, I am going to do it. Don't pas causer toi. Come and say this.
Please, order.
Exactement.
Order.
Oui, pas causer. Pas causer. Comme ça que la honte toi.
Order, please. Honourable Minister, please. Be to the point, answer the question. Okay, and on this side, I don't want any provocative remarks. Honourable Ratna, you had a question. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, from facts in the public domain, we know that Mrs. Beekareea went to the hospital on the 3rd of April and subsequently on the 9th of April. Can we know whether on those 2 days, bearing in mind the type of pain that she was complaining, whether echographies were carried out or other sorts of treatment administered to ascertain whether there was a problem with the umbilical cord?
That would depend on the gynecologist. Echography, you don't do it. And even if you had done an echography, you would not have known whether there's a cord around the neck at the time of delivery. So to say that there's no echography, because an echography, all investigation would depend, you must have an indication to do an echography. If the doctor did not see the indication to do an echography, okay, why should he do an echography?
have a question? One.
Much, Madam Speaker. It stands to reason that in the light of replies given to questions put by the Leader of Opposition and by Honourable Rapna, the Minister is misleading the House.
Oh, no.
Withdraw. I would like...
Please, Honourable Bulel, you've just said that the Minister is misleading the House. This is, please sit down. This is very serious. Would you be able to substantiate it? And if you can substantiate it, then you can come with a motion. Otherwise,
I will say outright here that there has been fetal distress. There has been fetal distress.
okay.
I maintain that there has been fetal. I will ask the Minister.
Ask your question, Honourable Bulel. Ask your question.
Why is it that he has sat on the findings of the preliminary inquiry instead of coming with a full-fledged independent inquiry?
Okay, that's a question, yeah.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Leader is saying there's fetal distress. I know there is fetal distress. That's the definition. That's what was there. We said there's meconium. We said there was a cord round the neck. Was that not fetal distress? I've given you the Abgoy score, which was 0 at birth. Is not that fetal distress?
Okay, no.
Exactly, so I've not denied anything. I have not denied anything.
No cross-talking, please. Be to the point, give the reply, then the last question to the Leader of the Opposition. Yes.
Despite meconium in fetal distress, no gynecologist called, no pediatrician called despite difficulty in breathing, no autopsy done, no reply to the family for the last 3 months, Madam Speaker. All this marks of cover-up as well. And therefore I would ask, no, I know what I'm talking, I can say. I can say, but I don't want to abuse of parliamentary immunity, but I can say. I don't want to abuse of it. But I think there has been cover-up, Madam Speaker, and I would ask the Minister, in the interest of the population, the fact that people are leaving the public service in drones for giving birth, much less people now than previously are using the public hospitals. There is need to restore confidence in the public hospitals, Madam Speaker, and the best thing in the interest of the nation that the Minister can do is have a full-fledged fact-finding committee so that we know where the faults are. Otherwise, no one will believe the departmental inquiry that is organizing.
Madam Speaker, as I say, it's so easy to lay blame like that. We have done inquiry. We have not wasted time. Because I am not the kind of person who is going to hide anything like this. I am not going to hide anything like that, to put anything in the cover. But let me talk, please. Let me talk, you have to talk.
Honourable Leader of Opposition, please reply.
So, I am going to, I've done the inquiry, I did not waste time, I did the inquiry. I was not happy, I've set up a second inquiry. If I wanted to hide, why would I set up a second inquiry? And that's number one. And as far as post-mortem is concerned, I'm categoric, that kind of case does not need post-mortem because I've treated hundreds of cases like that, not just in Mauritius, in UK, and we did not do post-mortem on any of these cases. So please.
Time is over.